bonus podcast.
List.
Bonus podcast.
What?
5, 4.
Hannah was funny already.
3,
Prepare your
2,
funniness.
1.
Ready? What did the... I was trying to think of one of the... In our mixer thing, we've now got a dad jokes command.
Do we?
I was trying to think of one of those. Yes. It's pretty amazing. And I can't think of a single one.
You
what do you
can
call
go
a group of whales that are singing? An orchestra.
Are orcas whales?
They're technically
killer whales?
porpoises.
Shut up.
Fair enough.
Their name is a killer whale. Is that like the whale shark that's a shark?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
No, whatever.
Nailed it.
I didn't remember the joke
It is
entirely.
a tooth. According to Wikipedia, it is a toothed whale belonging to the oceanic dolphin family.
So whales and dolphins are...
So does
Wait, so whales and dolphins are the same type of fish?
I don't know.
they're not fish.
My
Sound
mind is
right?
blown.
They're both mammals.
Yeah, they're
That's a good
definitely
point.
not fish.
No, they are.
I don't think that's how that works.
They're fish that have live birth and breathe air.
And have fur and milk.
They don't have much fur.
They have some. I think all
That's-
have I gotten into this conversation with you?
I'm pretty sure
That
they
used
have
to be
very...
that used to be a requirement for mammals.
Yeah.
They had to have some fur on their body, but that's changed. I think everything you learn in school is wrong, people.
Yeah,
And you
and they get
just
to make
get-
a whole TV show about it in Britain called QI. I wish they brought that over here. That'd be...
I mean,
Such a
there's
great-
this thing like the internet that everything can be brought over from there.
Yeah. Nope.
I have watched... No, but I would be... I guess the problem is, do we have any smart celebrities?
No.
Because QI, they have comedians on, but a lot of times the comedians actually do know some things. Sometimes they're there just to make the jokes, but sometimes they're like, oh, I was on this show where we did facts. Apparently there's a lot of fact shows in Britain of like, and here's some facts you didn't know. And so sometimes they get people who have traveled over from one of those to their other fact show called QI, and they're like, oh, we did one on this.
I mean, we have a few smart celebrities. Like, we got Neil deGrasse Tyson, but he's kind of like just
But
a
is he
side
funny?
spokesman. He's funny as hell. He's a
weird.
really good guy.
He lines up on "I am very smart" very often for reasons I find hilarious.
Yeah. Then you
Sometimes he comes out with like, sometimes our time is locked, and you're just like, you're just using more words than you need to be like, we're in the present now. Like, it's just sometimes he gets a little too like, I am a mystical science man, and isn't this
a
fascinating?
little bit, yeah.
Behold the wonder of science. It's like, it's
It's
a
like the
baking soda
internet's
volcano.
turned on Bill Nye now.
Yeah, well, Bill Nye went a little wacky.
Yeah, a little
What
bit.
happened to Bill Nye?
He's doing the whole like, God, I'm gonna
Deeply into
save
animal
the
porn.
world, and it's like, I don't know. People rag on him for only having a bachelor's degree in engineering, and it's like, man, that's still pretty good.
It's pretty good, but he does know. He did a thing on gender studies, I think, in his new show. And it was weird. It was not weird. It was extremely into the realm of there are multiple genders and you're allowed to sort of fly between them.
Yeah, it wasn't a very science-based like thing that he
Yes. Instead of like, there are chromosomes that determine
did.
genders and with some aberration in the species.
He also gets a lot of shit for like not hating GMO type food because people don't understand what
hate
GMOs are.
Well, they're death
Well,
crops.
that's just
Basically,
wrong.
they
Like,
make
I'm on
people,
his side with that.
No, that's
They
what I'm
make
saying.
corn
Like
that can eat humans.
he gets a lot of shit for being on what I would perceive to be the right side of that argument.
Yes.
Like,
He's a person, and he has different sort of lands in different areas with the science of the times, and sometimes he lands. Although his new show really looks horrible.
yeah, I didn't
Is
have
it
any
on
desire to
Netflix?
see it. Yeah, it's the new Netflix
Yeah,
one.
it's on Netflix. And
They're
he's sort
not
of
good at
doing, like,
making
the-
science shows.
Did they
That
attempt
White
other
Rabbit
ones?
show is any... have you seen the White Rabbit?
No.
No.
They're like, we're gonna get the B team from Mythbusters and sort of do not Mythbusters at
Sounds
all.
awesome. I want to be at the table where that idea was brought up.
I can't. It's so like I can't even
Crucible of-
describe what it is. They just sort of like talk about a thing that somebody might like. I don't know, jet packs or whatever, and that it's. I'm doing a terrible job describing it because I only saw an episode and a half.
Because it's so vague, also.
It was. I would say it was not very well focused. Yeah, it was not. It certainly wasn't what I would call science. I've googled White Rabbit and I've just gotten the Jefferson Airplane song, so that's handy.
Dump, 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 dump.
White Rabbit Project, I think, is actually.
Just look up like Carrie Byron if you can't find it.
Yeah.
Or Alice in Wonderland.
The team investigates topics such as, quote, and this is in quotes, jailbreaks, superpower technology, heists, and crazy World War II weapons. which they explore through experiments, builds, and tests. It's just such a scattershot.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, the first episode in the order was what I read anyway. People argued was the worst one.
You'd think that Netflix would be able to like kind of test that and figure that out and just kind of bury that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Release to a small section of the. That's what I would do. Is release it to a small section of your viewing audience and decide which ones people like, and then go with the hot lead.
They just redo. I mean, you know, Amazon got away with essentially rebooting Top Gear and just giving it a different name.
Yes.
If you want to do that, just do that. Like, nobody's going to give you crap for making another Mythbusters that's not called Mythbusters. I would watch the heck out of that show. I watched the new Top Gear. It's awesome. It's not Top Gear.
Just be like, debunkers.
Yes. Or, I'm trying to think of the exact... Fable Shatterers.
It doesn't need to be the Asylum version of the title of Mythbusters.
No, it has to be. Clearly the show is crap, so we have to just cash in on the name.
Fable Breakers?
Myth.
Just call it like everything you like is bullshit.
Yes. That's a little too Penn and Teller.
Yeah.
Isn't that already Adam Ruins Everything?
Probably.
I can't stand that guy. Oh my god.
I have no idea what that show's about. I haven't seen it.
He just
kind
talks
of like...
Go ahead.
Ooh, oh, interesting. We both blocked each other.
Yeah.
That was a Mexican standoff of verbiage.
Plus, Al gave you the floor. That's really weird.
Yeah. He takes topics like living in the suburbs is great, or these fat, people on the red carpet wear, dresses that are beautiful and that they chose, or I don't know, a lot of things that that are very much in the mainstream mind, and like debunks them. Valuable art is valuable, and it's somewhat banal and not all that insightful. I don't think
founders of College Humor and everything. I see.
Yeah, I don't see I sort of was aware that people on the red carpet were paid and were handed dresses, and that's marketing. And the suburbs I've known for a while are not this idyllic land of wonder. There's bad things about them. So I'm always like, this.
What's the bad thing about the suburb? I love the suburbs.
Yeah, you work from home. There's lots of studies showing that adding commuting time to your life is one of the worst things you can do compared to
anything over 30 minutes turns into this giant horrible stress on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I drove, but my job for my whole life was essentially 10 minutes, 15 minutes from my house.
Okay, we're not talking to you. This is why I hate the show too, because it's not. I haven't seen it, so I can't say.
Why would you?
It's
I guess I understand that people have long commutes, but I would calculate heavily in the favor of not getting a job that I had to drive an hour to get to.
The human brain doesn't do that. It also tends to value things like a spare bedroom that seems really nice, but gets used 3 times a year more than a commute that you do every day. It's the human brain that's not. I've seen that study a lot. He also
the cost of commuting is also insane whenever you figure out just time calculations as well as wear and tear on a car,
and gas.
I only see references to him when he pops up on Reddit, and usually those things are pretty interesting, like the whole funeral home racket and how just collusion heavy and profit motivated that is.
I guess, but it's a
business. I do get that it's a business, but they're upselling. It feels icky when it's around death and how much. And I recently tangentially was involved with that, and they're like, "Oh, you want a flower spray? That's an extra $300." It's you're gonna reuse that for the next person. We don't even get to buy it. It's just sort of here's a tacked on cost for no reason other than that. You're not.
But it's not shocking. That's the thing. In the ads, people are like, what? One of them is that also he does bad science. It's dieting is not a great way to, or
exercise is a bad way to lose weight.
Yeah, something like that. Because there was a study done on The Biggest Loser, and a lot of the people regressed. But the actual science is crash diets are bad, but lifestyle changes are good and can keep the weight off long term. But the way they framed that was losing weight is dumb. It's just. it sort of edges into like we need ratings, so we have to frame these things in annoying ways.
Yeah, but that's
it's
the
like the
internet,
most
like,
extreme way possible.
Yeah,
because I can see. I mean, it interests me to know that like, oh hey, if you diet like the people on The Biggest Loser, you see all these inspirational stories, but that's basically a lie. I'm interested in that narrative.
It also was a study, whereas tons of other studies. I'm on Our Fitness a lot, and those are that's a smart hive mind, and they ripped that one apart pretty good. The artist one was annoying. I don't know. Again, I haven't actually seen the show.
What was his argument that
the
the paint and the canvas aren't worth that much, so you shouldn't pay a lot for
there's
art?
a lot of well, again, you know, something is worth whatever someone is willing to pay for it. That's what value is, and that market gets driven up a lot because of collectors sort of outbidding one another. Plus, the great masters weren't original was sort of one of the takes, I think, from the show, which is like, yeah, they studied under other people and they would try and copy other paintings and like, I don't know. I guess if you had no knowledge of a subject, it would be an interesting crash course. But for the most part, I'm always like, what? Plus, the guy's voice makes me want to claw out my own ears.
See, I haven't actually watched it, so that's
stand his voice.
I'm just getting the third hand, like, oh, this seems kind of cool.
Yeah, the one paragraph abridged version that the internet gives you.
Yeah,
that wouldn't be bad. When I first saw the show, I was like, okay, that'll be interesting. But then it just sort of like, I don't know, it just keeps wearing and wearing on me. And the way it's presented too is a little too like, we're being clever, and I'm like, you're really not, and this isn't that groundbreaking of information, and sometimes you're not 100% correct.
Yeah,
buying a home is not better than renting. That, you know, that's incredibly, you know, point to point market value. You know, like different markets and different markets. It's not like an absolute.
Yeah,
and he sort of sometimes presents it as
there's a lot of times where it's better, but it really depends on where you live. Like, yeah, I'm sure for Al, it was better to buy a home than to rent, especially with the cost.
So much better to buy a home than to rent.
It also depends on when. Like, early 90s in New York, it was ridiculous. But that's kind of hard to predict, because you can't predict.
Or, like, the crazy appreciation that my sister's house got because she bought right after the real estate bubble burst.
Yeah. After a bubble burst is probably a pretty good time if you can do it, but unfortunately, that's after a bubble burst, and most people can't.
That's what I'm planning on. Like, I actually have enough saved up for a possible down payment on a house as soon as that bubble bursts, and I know it's coming, damn it.
Yeah, it's probably in the next 2 or 3 years, Tony.
Yeah.
10 years. 10 years at a time.
Within 5 years.
Well, but we're in the recovery, so...
Well, 2008 to 2011 was like the downturn, pretty much. So we're coming up on that again, unfortunately. Possibly.
Although it's kind of a weird recovery, because we're not getting back... Like, we're still going down in productivity as a society, which is interesting.
And also, like, automation is taking over more, and it's turning into a weird mess.
Oh, God.
Oh, no, they're going to take our jobs.
Yes, the AIs are taking our jobs.
Robot's going to start making YouTube videos!
Al makes very good points about automation. It takes away some jobs, but provides other ones. Yeah. Even if the bricklaying robot isn't a great example of that.
There is a fact that's been bouncing. You ever notice, like, if you're on Reddit a lot, there will be facts that sort of gain life, and I assumed that it came from this Adam Ruins Everything or something, but like where everybody's all of a sudden talking about the fact that one company owns all of the eyeglass, or 99% of the eyeglasses manufacturers in America, and essentially has a monopoly on that.
I've not seen that float around, but I know what you're talking about, and my favorite is always
a new one for me. I did not realize that.
I didn't either. Wait, I just thought of another Adam Ruins Everything that really bugged me. Weddings. The wedding industry is just trying to bloat up weddings and make them, sort of like the funeral home one. Duh. But people have taken from that, and this is a thought I've seen flying around more and more, like, that's who invented big weddings. Is the wedding industry in, like, the somewhat 80s, 70s-ish, I think, is the general take. And I'm just like, bitch, watch The Godfather. We've been doing that. Italians have had ridiculously retarded weddings for ages. Maybe that brought it mainstream America. That created, like, a certain industry. Great, fine. But the notion that a wedding party can be outlandish is not made by the wedding. I've seen the wedding industrial complex mentioned. And I'm just like, oh, God.
I mean, there is a lot of crazy inflation on wedding stuff, but that's just because people aren't willing to, like, shop around a little bit or find, like, well, you can go online and buy these invitations and spend a quarter of what you're going to, that rather than going through a wedding planner.
That's also
you also don't have to have all that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have the money and you want to, that sounds like a fun time, but don't go into debt for that kind of wedding.
No.
I got married, and it was not the cheapest thing I've ever done, but we, It helps that also we already have a church that we're part of, so we just sort of not a huge fee for the venue, but we got married and they have a place there you could eat, and we provided most of the food ourselves and paid. I think we paid for the wedding cake, but they made the groom's cake from a kit or from scratch. I had German chocolate cake.
Nice.
Flat out, I'm going to be just getting catered barbecue. I don't give a shit.
My cousin did that. It was unreal.
Yeah, like I'm just going to be getting
that was some of the best.
Really good barbecue. I don't care that it's going to be like not like it's fancy or crazy. It's like people are going to be happy that you bought them barbecue, and there's just going to be bottles of like Jack Daniels and cold beer in like a trough. I don't care.
It's a celebration. You should celebrate how you want to celebrate. Yes. I understand that there are some people who get very like, I have to do this the way that it's done, and like but those people will get cornholed by any industry at some point in their life.
Yeah, pretty much. And we all like make mistakes with that sort of thing. We all have the things that we kind of like we overspend on.
Have blind sides too.
Yeah.
I also was gonna say, when you mentioned the invitations, there's that sort of lemon, like if you try and take a car that you've driven off of the lot, brand new car, you drove off the lot and like then drove into a parking lot, and you're like, I want to sell this now. I think it's not called the lemon law, because that's something else entirely.
Yeah, the lemon law is like basically if you have to have something repaired 4 times, it's declared a lemon and you get a new one.
Yeah. But the concept is an economic concept, something about the lemon, where basically that car drops in value way more than just the wear on the engine, because everyone's like, well, why do you want to sell it so fast? Like, the mindset is like, something's got to be wrong here. Same thing with like, well, this wedding person has done, exceptional amounts of time, and it's a huge one-time purchase. So if you're like, wait, why are these invitations so cheap? You can get seriously double think yourself a lot. And that's why with these one-time purchase sort of things, you can get some much higher prices. I'm not saying weddings, a big bash is cheap, but it's also not something that you have to do, and you should do it the way you want to do it. Absolutely. Good couples, I think, have good weddings, and I've sort of noticed that. And they're usually pretty chill and very sort of about the couple, and you can see that reflected, whereas some people are just like, I want a wedding the way it's done, and that's sort of a weird concept, because it's a ephemeral notion
that works.
that maybe has some definitions by the industry, and that's sort of what some people buy into. But like Tony said, I think we all have spots of that for certain things.
Thanks, Adam.
Yeah, Adam.
You ruined the wedding. Nobody can get married anymore because we're all millennials. And we're all a giant block of individual humans that do the same thing all the time. And don't own houses and buy $20 avocados for some reason.
Yeah, big avocados the real problem here.
Avocados are not expensive. I love avocado. Yeah. Like, I make dip. I make guac. It's like $1 for an avocado.
Plus, they're one of the most convenient year-round like fruits out there. Or
to be fair, well, they are now.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I love. Like, people discuss progress and stuff, I always like to go to food, because that's one of the clearest places where you can be like, look how much more stuff you can buy for cheaper compared to like 20 years ago. I mean, there was a point when an avocado was a new product in stores, and it was during my lifetime, and it was not too long ago. Also, as far as them being cheap, think about how many like carrots you can buy for $1, or like the real cheap stuff you can buy for $1.
That's why we have food waste, because you can't buy the amount of carrots that I would prefer to eat.
Yes.
It's like, I would like 3 carrots. I'll eat those over the course of a couple days. But no, I have this like 20 carrot bag for $1, and it's just not all gonna get eaten.
Onions are the big one. I was like, I could buy 1 onion for $1.50 or 48 onions for $1.60. And I'm like, I'll just
I'm the opposite with that. I'm like, all right, this recipe is gonna take about this much, and I just fill the bag with that many and take it.
Yeah, you can do it if you're doing it by weight, obviously, but there's always the bulk ones where I'm just like,
Yeah, I don't need to buy a 3-pound bag of baby carrots, but I have done that before.
Yep. It's well, that sort of goes to we've had this sort of have conversations about efficiency in the past, and how 100% efficiency is actually wildly inefficient. You never want to aim for that. That's usually in the 80-85 range where you're most efficient. And food, again, is where I heard when people were like, why would aiming for 100 be so bad? It's like, you try it. Try for a month to actually use every item of food you purchase and be 100% efficient with your food, consumption. It's impossible.
I think that's called Blue Apron.
Yeah.
Just like 3 different Blue Apron subscriptions, and that's all you eat.
But then that's Blue Apron covering the cost of waste when they either make too many packages or undersell or whatever.
I can't wait for Blue Apron to be one of our sponsors so that I can actually get that for free, because they are not that cheap.
They're not. No.
They sound really good, but they are not cheap.
We're saying that now. In the future, if we talk about how reasonably priced Blue Apron was, it's because we're being paid to say it.
Yeah, that's also because this is the bonus podcast, and they'd have to be members to unlock it.
Yes. Now we reveal our secrets. All those things we sponsor, crap. Every single
All
one.
those dill pickles I was talking about from when Dixie.
What else has been up?
The SC Grocers brand.
Or how trendy that movement watch makes me feel, you know? Pro tip, I'm not wearing it.
Once a month, because Al gets very excited about things and talks well about them and thinks about them. So usually about once a month there's something that gets on Al's radar that when I'm editing, I'm like, what? Did Al get a secret sponsorship to these dill chips? Did the Steam controller approach Al independently and ask him to sell these? It's like, and comfort, boy, does my Steam controller provide... I'm like, Al, fly the Kerbal ship.
So good,
Just shut up and get your Kerbal to the moon. I don't want to go to the list yet. I do want to touch on Tom Petty.
Oh, I forgot we even had a list. I was having so much fun.
I wanted to kick around Tom Petty with Tony, and I know you don't know much about him, Al.
I actually recently heard a radio type documentary on him. What do you call it when you? I mean, I guess it's a podcast where they like went in depth about some of his early life, and it seems kind of like a documentary.
Yeah, and he's from Florida, so you might have heard a little bit more just from being kind of a local guy.
I know where Gainesville is. That's about the extent of my...
He sings the song of your people, Albert.
What is that?
No, I'm joking.
Blow, blow, Seminole Wind? That's not him.
What? How is that the song of your people?
Are you really a Seminole?
No, I'm not.
I don't understand
I think about that song more often than I want to, though. It's such a depressing song.
What song are you talking about?
Seminole Wind?
I don't know it.
Blow, blow, Seminole Wind, blow like you're never gonna blow again. You never heard that song?
Nope.
That sounds familiar, actually.
It's all about like the Seminole tribe getting kicked off of their land or whatever, and it's sort of like depressing.
Listen, the depressing part of the podcast is supposed to be about Tom Petty, not the Seminole Indians. Okay, stop hijacking this thread.
Yeah, don't let the slightly colored people take away from us losing our white musician.
Yes, our incredibly pasty, pale, blonde-haired musician. The guy looked like a freak. He was... I've actually run into a lot more people I expected who were like, I don't really know Tom Petty. And I'm always like, I don't know, he has so many hits.
Yeah, since like the 70s, he's been dropping like Billboard hits.
It's weird to talk about like music as a common shared thing. This is a little bit of a digression, but I keep hearing NPR keeps running pieces about this song Despacito. Mm-hmm. And they keep talking about you've definitely heard the song Despacito, and then they play like Despacito, the clip from it, like the chorus. The only place I've ever heard the song is on NPR talking about how I've definitely heard the song and how much impact it's making and what like the arc of its I know so much about it, and I'll never heard it anywhere except on your stupid radio show.
I heard it from Two Cellos, and I wasn't that into it, so I just moved on.
It's a fine song. I don't have any problem with the song. It's like...
I've heard it. Well, it was played at the wedding I was at, and it was, I know my friends likes it because it's a Justin Bieber song, and it's also Spanish. Well, I think it's someone else's song, and he's...
Yeah, Justin Bieber kind of, like, jumped in for a chorus on a remix, I think.
But people...
It's like that Michael Jackson Somebody's Watching Me song.
People at his... concerts where you're like Despacito, and he has to stand there and be like, I don't speak Spanish, I'm sorry, I can't sing that. And
he offended some people because he was singing it in like a bar and he was just like making up words like throwing in Dorito and burrito. And they're like, how dare you? He doesn't know.
I'd never have done that.
Yeah, never ever have I just made up random song lyrics while drunk in a bar.
Seriously, that's a bit much. Tom Petty's great.
Yeah, Tom Petty.
No,
I don't understand how people haven't had him as like part of their main like soundtrack for
especially because he was around during way before not before the internet.
He looked like he was gonna die since like 1965 though. That dude looks so sickly and skeletal. In more recent years, he had a beard and it kind of made him look like a little bit more lively. Like you just didn't have like the sunken weirdness.
He was an odd-looking dude.
Yeah,
born in 1950. Had hits. It's astounding how late into his career he was still having, like, Full Moon Fever was 89, and then Wildflowers was 92. Like, that's a 42-year-old dude putting out like a major impacting rock and roll album.
Yeah, even some of his smaller stuff that happened in the years after, like there was the movie Elizabethtown, which is not a great movie, but I ended up liking it because it just helped me through some weird times. And he had 3 original songs on that, and they were all good, like Saving Grace and like It'll All Work Out, and just a bunch of other like really good songs. And that was more recent, and a lot of people hadn't even heard those, but those are songs that I have on pretty regularly.
I think one of the best examples that we're talking about is that Mary Jane's Last Dance is the song he wrote for the greatest hits release of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Yeah. Usually when someone's putting out a greatest hits release, they'll add new tracks to it. That's very common, but they're not Mary Jane's Last Dance. They're not like one of the seminal hits of that band usually, and it's just like...
Yeah, not one of the best hits of the 90s.
Not to mention, again, 42, 45, like, you usually expect people to be cranking out hits when they're in their 20s, maybe 30s. So that was always weird to me, how late in time his stuff came along. And not that the early Heartbreaker stuff wasn't bad, but
it was just a man who loved music and like was constantly working at it.
Yeah,
and
he also had a lot of battles with recording companies about who owned the rights and who could price the albums where and stuff.
And then went after Sam Smith for supposedly stealing a song, and I just don't hear it.
It's a couple times. Actually, I was reading their Wikipedia this morning. One of those debates, a lot of the... I forget which one was the Sam Smith song. A lot of them he was like, that happens at times. Usually you catch it before it leaves the studio. We settled pretty amicably. It wasn't that big a deal. But there was one that stuck in his craw, I think. It was an ad. They approached him looking for they were like, can we use your song, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, no. Then they mysteriously had a very similar sounding song on their ad. And that was a pretty full-on litigation. But for the most part, like he had, I forget what band it was now, basically say that they had ripped off American Girl and then wrote their own song based on it, and it sounds sort of similar. And he was like, the Strokes, with This Is It. And he was like, yeah, that happens in rock and roll. And sometimes you start sort of with that, I'm going to basically write this song, and then you wind up with something brand new. He seemed a little more laid back about it with artists than with commercial people.
Yeah. Well, think about how hard it is to come up with like a new chord progression.
Yeah. Like Chuck Berry wrote, all of rock and roll. So that's pretty much the root of everything.
I was reading some stories on Reddit from people, and like there was this one group that was talking about, or this one guy talking about how he was neighbors with Tom Petty, and like he sort of knew who he was, but he was like, it was like a bunch of 14-year-olds just trying to start a garage band. And, like, he heard them playing, and he just, like, popped open the garage door and went and, like, just started jamming out with all these kids. Like, he just loved the music. And, like, some of the kids are just, like, practically, like, shitting themselves because it's, like, Tom Petty's in my garage playing with my band. What is this?
That's awesome. There's the Traveling Wilburys, which was, like, a super group with Roy Orbison, George Harrison, Tom Petty, and Bob Dylan. But they formed up and were like, let's make some music. They're supposed to be on a B-side only for George Harrison. They were like, that's a pretty good song. Let's just cut an album. But again, people who say they don't know him, I guess
I don't know him as an artist. When they started playing his songs in the retrospectives, and I was like, okay, I know some of this stuff.
Okay, that's sort of what I mean.
But I'm not a big music junkie anyway. Like I have, I sort of know what I like, and it's a lot of it's like really old stuff, and then like the pop music that really grabs me. The stupid Imagine Dragons songs make me a believer. I'm all about that right now. Yeah. And then I was listening to that recently, and I played, jumped over to that song Immortal from the, dagnabbit, what's the name of that movie? Big Hero 6. I was all about that for a while, and kind of the 2-song playlist.
Poppy rock. It's not like extreme deep rock or something. He definitely has pop hits. That's the thing. If you had heard some of his songs and been like, nope, I don't know this guy, I would have been astounded. Because he was the guy, he is the songs you hear in the grocery store, or, again, back in the day, the car radio would have them on constantly.
Yeah, it didn't matter if it was like Refugee or just like any of 50, 60 different awesome songs. Like Rolling Stone put out an article yesterday that was like, these are Tom Petty's 50 best songs. And I was just thinking, man, if you get onto a list with like 50 original good songs, you've done pretty well for yourself.
Yeah. And they keep going. It's unbelievable. I've been listening to a lot of it. Tuesday night, I was up way too late. Playing Overwatch with Rich, drunk league, which I still want to get a league together, and we can have the team name Wasted Ult, and it'll be awesome.
Yeah,
and we'll be just the team. And then continued to stay up way too late just listening to Tom Petty and having beers and just being like, God damn. Yeah, just one of those, just a soundtrack sort of my life sort of thing. It also made me realize that when Bruce Springsteen goes, it's going to be a weird day for me. There's people you listen to so much in certain parts of your life that their passing it's a very a weird time. It's partially like remembrance, partially you get back into their music, but then getting back into the music flashes you back to back then. It's partially, wait, we're young, aren't we? Aren't these people still young, right?
To be fair, Tom Petty wasn't old.
1950.
He was 66
yes.
whenever he died,
Yes.
so like that's a little bit less than human average. But he also did a lot of cocaine and rode life hard for a while.
Yeah, when they
Yes.
said cardiac arrest, I have no idea what his life is like or was like, but just knowing rock and roll type culture, I thought, I wonder if that was some kind of heroin thing.
I have no idea if it was like a heroin or
from
anything like that, but
previous
it wouldn't
use.
surprise me if a lifetime of drug use and being on the road led to that.
Had-
But he also
yeah.
did a lot more with his 66 years than most people will, so.
Yeah, but he wasn't 40.
Yeah.
He wasn't
No.
in his 30s.
It wasn't Michael
These people are
Jackson
getting
like
older
loaded
and
up on
older.
cancer pain beds whenever he was just like chilling at home.
Or, I mean,
How old
Bowie
was Michael
was a little
Jackson?
older.
50 when he died.
Yeah.
Wow.
He had a
Younger than I
personal
realized.
physician at home basically loading him up on like
Just-
fentanyl and all these other like hardcore drugs.
When Bowie was cancer, Prince was cancer?
I thought Prince was probably overdose.
Yeah, it was
was
an
a Jehovah's
overdose on
Witness. He
pain
didn't-
pills, I thought.
Prince?
Yeah, like some
He
sort
was
of
on a
opiate
plane,
thing.
right? Like, he
No,
didn't
he
get
died in
cancer
an
on a plane.
elevator.
Oh, who was on a plane then?
Carrie Fisher?
No, I meant like a private plane.
Oh.
Yeah.
John Denver?
Leonard Skinner?
Okay. Could have been him.
Billy Mays?
Yeah, Billy Mays supposedly like
That song, The Day the Music Died.
Yeah,
Don
Ozzy
McLean?
Osbourne died in a-
The Big Bopper? Oh, well, that ruins some things I thought about. I thought Prince was a Jehovah's Witness and never did stuff.
it was all the dancing and everything hurt his joints. And then he like
Oh.
you get on a little bit of opiates and it's just like a train to like more and more and more opiates.
I did not realize that.
Okay, you know what? I think we're on the downside of the podcast. We need to pull out here.
You were the one singing Seminole Wind 10 minutes ago.
After you had said, let's talk about my favorite singer who just died.
I wanted to talk about Tom Petty, and then you were like, you know what else we should talk about? It's the death of the Native American in America. Okay, we can move on.
We
Albert.
were talking about Florida. No, I want to keep it a little bit more lighthearted.
One more thing I want to say about Tom Petty is that he had on Full Moon Fever and Into the Great White Open, I think, he had those sections where he would stop because he grew up. Most of his, well, no, my God, he was so late, but he had so much embedded in the record years, too. On the record and every recording, he would stop where the record would end on side one and have a little spiel about, hello, CD and tape. No, one was CD, one was tape. We've come to where the end of the record is, and we're going to pause here and allow, the record players to stand up, flip the record over, and start the new side. For you tape listeners, you don't have to do anything. But we're going to take a break. And then there's it just has like farm animals playing. He's like, we're going to entertain ourselves with some sounds of something like that. I honestly don't remember because I haven't heard the album in so long, but it was such a weird, funny thing to do to address these CD listeners. Because the tape suckers had to get up and go turn over their tape. Enjoyable.
It's good stuff.
Wait, so
We shall miss him, etc.
So,
he's like over-explaining how a record worked at the end of his
that
album?
was the joke. Yes. It was amazing. And then the CD, yeah. I guess no. So the earlier one was tape and CD. So he was like, and I guess some people would listen to it. I guess CDs are just
Oh, the CD people. He would say the CD people don't have to do anything.
What?
You just said it.
Yeah, CD people didn't have to do anything. Sorry, because again, I haven't heard an album in so long. I've forgotten the spiel. CD people didn't have to do anything, but he would entertain the CD people while the quote-unquote record or tape people were getting up. And yes, he gave incredibly detailed, the record people now have to stand up, walk over to the record players, flip the record over, and start again. Just,
Now I kind of want
fun. He was
Wildflowers on vinyl.
fun.
I want everything on
amazing.
vinyl. It's so expensive, though.
All right, to the list.
To the list.
Oh no, we didn't. We forgot to cross out epitome organized stalking from last week.
No!
We have to talk about it again.
Yay!
What about the Liechtenstein missing crown, guys? What about that?
That was a weird link dump, I can tell you that much.
Arthopleura is next on the list.
Arthropleura.
Who did this? Was not me.
Yeah,
I
it's
guarantee.
Greek for jointed ribs, jointed ribs. A genius extinct millipede arthropods that lived what is now North America and Scotland.
Yeah.
The larger species of the genus are the largest known invertebrates in land in all time, and they would have few, if any, predators. How big are these things?
People kept sending me this for reasons I clearly don't know.
0.3 to 2.3 meters.
It was a 2-meter long bug, and it was in like the news for a while, and people everywhere were like, "Hey Joe, look at this!"
Oh, look at this size compared to a human thing. You could probably get on that thing and ride it for a little bit.
Yeah, it's freaking horrible. It's an abomination. It needs to be destroyed. It was my prehistoric because I hate bugs. This is basically a 2-foot-long silverfish.
Oh man! I almost sent you something from R Creepy the other day, and then I was like, "This is just too cruel." Like,
we got to put it in the R Creepy features folder. Has been
I haven't been going there all that much. I've been more on R Trashy, which I should probably save some of those and put those in there too. But like, this was just somebody that was like, I found a secret passage under my house to a bomb shelter, and they just took a picture, and like the entire bomb shelter was just covered in like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of silverfish and spiders and every other bug you could imagine, just like spaced out. It was basically just like this dark orgy of awful bugs.
How does that ecosystem work, do you think?
Which one?
Like, the spiders are eating the silverfish. What are the silverfish doing? Like, what?
I don't know what a silverfish eats.
What does a silverfish
I think it lives on fear. I'm actually somewhat inoculated. Throwing out words that I'm not sure of their meaning before they come out of my mouth. I've seen enough silverfish at this point that I'm more just like, why do you have so many freaking legs? You don't need that many legs!
Silverfish eat other bugs. Oh no, sorry, they can be cannibalistic, but they do not typically prey on other insects. I'm on Terminex.com right now reading about silverfish. They eat clothes.
They eat clothes.
They eat paper. A little bit of everything. Okay, so silverfish just sort of like, kind of like the cockroach of the insect world.
Okay.
That doesn't make any sense. It's like Cadillac. It's the Cadillac of cars. What?
No, it would be like if the Maybach was the Cadillac of Cadillacs. It's like cockroaches are all getting together. You're like, man, those silverfish, they eat anything. They'll survive in a like closed off basement. Enough to give spiders something to eat.
I don't know what's going on. So they eat clothes. Got it.
I just think that's an interesting ecosystem. There's no sunlight getting down there, so there's no there's no plants.
It could have been chopped. Maybe, right?
Could have been what?
Chopped? Somewhat?
Oh, okay, yeah, we could just assume that it's fake. Listen, I like to break this stuff apart. We went to a like teach your kid to read thing at my child's school, and they had this story up on the blackboard about 10 little firefighters that went down the pole to the fire, and I was like, okay, so they live somewhere with a like fully funded full-time fire department. They're not volunteers, but they're all little, so they're either little people or children. And they were asking the kids what the setting was, and I couldn't figure out what the setting was based on the information given in the very short story that they told us about these tiny firefighters. Like, they sleep all together at the firehouse, and there's only 10 of them.
Here's the photo.
This is not the actual photo. This is just one that was similar to it.
Oh, this is nice.
Those are crickets.
Yeah.
I had those growing up, and I hate them so goddamn much.
And this person has like a built-in fishing bait thing right there in their house.
What?
You just go fishing.
Just like grab a handful, or you can feed a lizard.
Yeah, I mean, I might use a glove if I was grabbing them, but...
I would definitely...
Did you ever go fishing with crickets, Joe?
No.
I never used crickets. Like, my mom got really bad at that. I even liked fishing, so she would debarb my hooks to make it more challenging.
What?
Yeah.
That's it. So she wouldn't be like, no, you may not go fishing. She was just, we're going to make it more difficult for you.
Yeah.
Your mom's an interesting person.
Yeah.
No, I've done worms and some sort of eggs and stuff.
I did shrimp once and felt kind of bad about that. It's like, oh, I'm just going to stab you right in the... Yeah.
Yeah, I've stabbed some things. Bait fish through the eyes. I'm not opening that.
I don't know what it is. I'm going to... Oh, okay, so it's a daddy long leg swarm.
Yep.
Yeah,
Brantley had some of one of those at his house recently.
Brantley's been.
I like how it sort of resembles a pubic mound there towards the bottom.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a great, wonderful. You've done
You're gonna need to put that in the link dump, Joe.
I know. I have to put this in the goddamn link dump. Do it with my eyes closed. Yeah, I'm not. You guys got to carry this.
Okay, well, I mean, giant millipedes back in the day. So one of the things that allowed them to exist was that there was a greater, like the atmosphere back then was higher pressure and had more oxygen in it. So they just, like if you got in a time machine and teleported one of these two today, and also temperaported, I guess, they would
suffocate.
Yeah, they wouldn't. They would probably die relatively quickly. Kind of like how when you bring deep sea fish up to the surface, they can't handle it because the pressure's so much different. Yeah, that's something they don't handle in that depth game. Is getting the bends. You do not get the bends in that game.
So you could just like fly up to the surface to avoid getting eaten by a shark. 47 meters.
Well, I mean, the shark
like...
will follow you to the surface. It's not a game advantage. It's just like I just watched the movie 47 Meters Down, and one of the big plot points of that is they're trying to get up to the surface and they can get out of the shark cage that they're in, but and the sharks aren't like ridiculously OP in that movie.
Yeah.
They're just off screen enough where like they could eat you, and so there's these moments where they want to ascend, but they can't ascend too fast, so they have to like wait for a minute. Like suspended in this darkness of the water so their bodies can adjust. And you're just thinking, like, is the shark gonna get him?
Yeah,
it's like
there's a very
it's like Gravity, but with sharks.
With a flare underwater that was just like, oh god.
I like that movie a lot. You watched it too, right, Tony?
I saw that movie in theaters. Like that was a solid movie.
When did it come out?
About 6 months ago, 4 months ago.
Yeah,
well, I never
beginning
heard
of the summer, I think.
It sounds
it's a shark movie.
Yeah, like that. That is a movie that would be very hard for you to watch. Like you basically watch Mandy Moore and her sister go like underwater and deal with sharks for a long time after like the cable snaps on their shark cage and they just sink to the bottom of the Gulf of Mexico or something.
Does the cables 47 feet
47 meters.
Oh, okay. That's terrifying. Never mind.
Yeah.
I mean, feet isn't great either. I don't handle that too well. Why does the cable snap? Is it a shark?
It's just a cheapo Mexican old boat.
Okay. What do the people in the boat do?
They're working to get them up. So there's like they send down a diver at one point. There's a lot. It's really more involved than you would think, given the premise of like, okay, their cage drops down. Now what do they do? But like, there's a part where they need to get out of the cage, like because they're trapped in it because part of the winch fell on top of them, and she has to climb through the bars, but her mask is too big to fit. So she has to take off her mask as she's climbing through 150 feet underwater and then put it back on. That was early in the movie. And it was just like, whoa, come on, get it back on.
Yeah, it's one of those big masks that allows you to talk. So like you actually have a lot of like depressuring or like just clearing out the water and all this other stuff that you have to do to make it work. It was just like there were so many creepy, good, suspenseful moments in that movie. Yeah, that
sounds like a really good movie.
Yeah.
I will never see it, but that sounds really good. Very well did.
Like there are some parts where it's like a little bit like cheesy shark movie, but there's so many good parts to it that I was able to forgive it.
I mean, there are parts of Jaws that are cheesy shark movie, but you get the audience on board, and it's like, all right, we'll do some shark stuff now.
I would say it's a better movie than The Shallows, and I like The Shallows. So those of you who want to see a good and there's so few good shark movies, really.
Well, yeah, taking it from like an expert on shark movies. Like you might literally be in the top 0.1% of the world for seeing shark movies.
And he's reviewing them too.
Possibly
successfully reviewing them.
Well, how do you fail in a review?
Oh, I'm just saying, like, you actually have like people like looking forward to you specifically doing shark movies.
Should we go on to the next list, the item in the list, before we run out of time?
What we got? Sure. I don't know. I have no idea what this is.
I have no idea either. Tony, do you know?
Click the link.
It's Cody's Lab on YouTube.
Cody's Lab.
Oh, Geek Girl Co. wanted us to look at this.
So, is this something... We might need to come back to this. You know what? Well, I haven't watched these videos, and I don't think that'll be good podcast content.
Contact?
Yeah, we gotta...
contact.
I think I watched one of these guys' videos a long time ago, but like not enough that I can talk about it, so we need to remember to check out a couple before the next bonus podcast.
He just posts. He says, simply post videos of the sometimes crazy things that I do, includes science, bees, and anything else I'm working on. Sorry, Geek Girl Co. We didn't read ahead on the list.
We'll get you next time.
We'll get into it.
Oh no.
Oh no, what?
What's next?
Buffalo, 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 buffalo.
Uh-huh. It could be. Don't click on it, or if you have.
No,
I've already
heard about this before, like how it's technically grammatically correct sentence.
This is a full sentence, yes.
I don't understand how it's...
Buffalo, 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 buffalo.
I don't understand how it's a grammatically correct sentence.
Well, that's... Yes. So you've got 3 different ways of using the word buffalo. 1, the proper noun, the city.
Yep.
2, the verb. You you buffalo people into doing stuff.
I thought it was like a con.
Yeah, I think maybe that's a little more newish. I have heard that actually. Sort of like based on, it's almost like a pun on bluffing. I've heard people use it like that. But it's a verb, and it's also, the big animal.
I've never heard it as a verb before.
You buffalo
It's
someone.
not common. And obviously, it's
you won't know what I'm saying. so I can work my way through a fair amount of the buffaloes. So you've got... Oh, boy.
So the first part of the sentence I get. So Buffalo the animal, Buffalo the city of Buffalo.
No. Buffalo the animal, Buffalo, and that's an adjective. It's like saying like New York hot dogs. It's Buffalo, Buffalo. So the animals from the city of Buffalo.
Okay.
So Buffalo, wait. Buffalo the animal, Buffalo verb, Buffalo, Buffalo, city of Buffalo, Buffaloes.
Right.
But there's a way you put commas in, so it's
there are no commas here.
No, but it's implied commas.
Oh no. Okay, so it's
Buffalo.
According to this, I'm looking at there's a sentence breakdown structure. Buffalo adjective, Buffalo noun, Buffalo adjective, Buffalo noun, Buffalo verb. So Buffalo from Buffalo.
Trying to buffalo other buffaloes from Buffalo.
The parsed sentence reads as a claim that bison, who are intimidated or bullied by bison, are themselves intimidating or bullying bison, at least in the city of Buffalo, implicitly Buffalo, New York. Buffalo. Buffalo.
See, every time you say that sentence, I'm getting like a weird vibe. I'm trying to remember like what movie it was where they were just saying the same word over and over again.
Malkovich.
Yeah, Malkovich. That's it.
I read this for a while, and the word buffalo lost all meaning. The cartoon helps. The little cartoon.
Is there a cartoon? I didn't see that
in the middle of Wiki.
Okay, I'm looking at it.
I was looking at the buffalo pictures because they're crazy cool animals.
Oh, they're amazing animals. Their necks are designed to... This is one of the first things I fake yelled at the podcast about, actually. Because it was like, it was either what's the best way to take down a buffalo, or what animal would be the easiest to strangle. And Al came up with buffalo, or I would kill a buffalo by strangling it.
I vaguely remember that conversation. I was against that, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I was just like, they literally are one of the strongest necked animals in the world. Their necks evolved so they could clear snow with their horns. Yeah. They're just like... unbelievable.
You can't even like really see their neck. It's so built into the body.
I need to search. Is there a way to search just my tweets? Yeah. I don't remember this conversation at all.
It was on the podcast.
Oh, but I think it's Albert_Berg Buffalo.
God,
definitely
Buffalo.
Ways to search. Well, that's Octoshark. What? There's a way on Twitter to do it. I'm debating whether I want to search for this or continue reading the...
I think we should probably keep reading the buffalo thing. Because I don't...
Oh, yeah, here you are. You say you could not choke a buffalo. To which I responded, maybe it's a very small buffalo?
I think even a buffalo calf you wouldn't be able to choke.
Well, that's Joe's response. It's the largest land animal in North America. So when you say a small one, you mean like only a 5 foot tall one?
I would have thought a moose was bigger.
Also, other excerpts from my buffalo talk on Twitter is my wife just said it's the KKK and their water buffalo. # no context for you. And at this point, I don't have any context either. I don't remember. April 12th, 2013. I remember making the tweet.
Okay. If you substitute the synonym bison for buffalo, and bully for the verb, and leave the buffalo only meaning the city, you get buffalo bison, whom other buffalo bison bully, themselves bully buffalo bison.
Okay.
So
buffalo, 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 buffalo. Right?
Yes. Got it.
I understood that for like half of a second. I just had to say all the words at once. Yeah, okay, so buffalo, 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 buffalo. No.
The problem is that the point where
I feel like this is when you're
other
like
buffalo bison bully, the whom other is, you're really reaching for that, I think, in a sentence with no commas and no nothing.
I feel like this is what like scientists must feel like before they make a giant leap in like quantum mechanics, or they like come up with a new formula where it's like it's like, almost there and it's almost there and it's almost there and then it's just gone.
My favorite part of this is that this other linguist, Thomas Tim Oxosko, has pointed out that there's nothing special about 8 buffaloes, and any sentence consisting solely of the word buffalo repeated any number of times is grammatically correct.
What? Where?
That's under usage on the Wikipedia page.
Wait, no.
You could just have the word buffalo, which can be taken as a verbal imperative to instruct someone to bully someone.
Buffalo, buffalo. Okay, but this has like a whole story. I mean, yes, you could just be seeing 8 buffalo. Buffalo, 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 buffalo.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've heard a 4-year-old say that before.
All right.
The diagram is... Okay, there's a diagram here.
Which one? The grammatical one or the...
No, the picture with the Venn diagram.
Got it, yeah.
The sentence is laid down below with the subject of the sentence being completely contained within the green area. They are buffaloing any of the buffalo contained within the yellow, blue, or green areas, object of the sentence. However, the moment any of those buffalo are buffaloed, they would also reside in the green area. Therefore, pictorially, the green area contains... This is not helpful!
I love that some of the buffalo are from Rochester, New York.
Well, the Rochester buffalo is buffaloing a buffalo. And then in the blue area are the buffalo who are being buffaloed.
Those guys are from Rochester. This is such a weird...
You know, I gotta say, I understand this better now than I ever have in the past.
Agreed.
I still don't understand it.
Because the whole whom others have buffaloed is, again, really stretched. Maybe one of them was past tense. I could really more get it. It's a bit of a stretch. It's a lot of fun, but I'm just going to Google weird sentences.
So buffalo. Right. Buffalo. Oh, I get it. Yeah, okay. So you have to say the first sort of subject of the sentence is buffalo. All right, the buffalo is from Buffalo. That buffalo, as in buffaloes from Buffalo, themselves buffalo, other buffaloes from Buffalo. Oh no, it stopped meaning anything.
You said the word buffalo enough that it doesn't sound like a real word anymore.
That switch in my brain just flipped. I can't say the word.
Mental Floss has 7 examples of crazy sentences that are grammatically correct.
Yeah, but you got to break it up there. Okay, so buffalo. Buffalo.
The horse raced past the barn fell. The complex houses married and single soldiers and their families. Woo!
No, that needs to be a whole separate thing.
Married and single soldiers and their family. That one's easy. The rat, the cat, the dog chased, killed, ate them all. The rat, whoa.
And that's what we think about Adam Ruins Everything, guys.
There's Buffalo. The exceeding trifling whittling, considering ranting, criticized. This is just silly.
I think you should link this to if you want to do the weird cities, put it in the sentences.
What?
I can't do words anymore. Somebody take us out.
Tony, you haven't said anything in a while.
That's because whenever I see stuff like this, it's so irrelevant to me. I'm like, why would you even spend your time like figuring this out? Because it's just nonsense.
Do the outro.
All right.
Save us.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you guys so much for being members and for checking out the bonus podcast. We really appreciate you. We appreciate our patrons. We appreciate our members, just all of it. Thank you for hanging out. You guys are going to be getting some special stuff soon. As far as new pins coming out here in a little bit, as well as a new series that I think you guys are going to really like. We've been putting a little bit of work on Fridays into it, and we will, we'll be putting that out here within the next month or so.
Buffalo.
Buffalo.
Buffalo.